Are you paying $40, $50, or maybe even up to $90 per month for each of your on-air phone lines? Is your total bill approaching the hundreds or even over $1,000 per month just for your on-air studio lines? And what about your phone systems in those studios? Do they only accept POTS lines or ISDN lines? Are they inflexible? In other words, can you move your shows from one studio to another and take the phone lines with you? Probably not. I'm Kirk Harnack with the Telos Alliance. Perhaps you've heard of the Telos VX voice over IP phone system. You know, it's for multi-studios and multi-lines. And you probably thought, well, that's great, but that is priced for big stations with big budgets. Well, I've got good news for you. Meet the new Telos VX Prime. It's the multi-studio, multi-line voice over IP phone system for the rest of us. The new Telos VX Prime is perfect for broadcasters with 1, 2, 3, or even 4 studios plus production rooms. It has 8 built-in telephone hybrids with audio processing on each one, and you can conference several callers on the same hybrid if you want to in any studio. Here's Joe Talbot, product manager for the Telos Alliance, with more.
The VX Prime is a smaller version of the popular VX system that's been around for about 5-6 years now, something like that. We have a lot of them out there. People are very happy with them, but people were coming to us and saying, do you have something smaller? Because it's more than I need, and it's a little more expensive than I can put into the budget. So we've come up with something new. It's limited to 8 hybrids. So that means you could divide those 8 hybrids up any way you like among typically 2 to 4 studios, maybe a production room or a news desk, something like that. It's worked out pretty well for people.
With VX Prime, you get the best sounding callers and flexible assignment of phone lines to different studios, and you get all those benefits at a lower cost. When you switch from POTS or ISDN to VoIP phone service, you cut your bills dramatically. Probably enough to pay for the new phone system for all of your studios. More on savings with SIP VoIP in just a few minutes. Until now, most radio stations purchase on-air phone systems on a studio-by-studio basis. Why? Because of traditional telephone lines' traditional inflexibility and high cost. Telos is changing that by using voice-over IP technology and audio-over IP networking. We start with the VX Prime engine. It's the brains of the entire system, and typically you'll put that in a rack room or in some other central location. This is where your voice-over IP lines connect to the WAN connector on the back of the VX Prime engine. From there, you can connect the LiveWire jack to your existing LiveWire network. And if you don't have a LiveWire network, no problem, because you'll connect this to a network that goes to our Telos multi-purpose nodes that go in each of your control or production rooms. So what about putting callers on air, on hold, or just talking with the caller? Joe?
To put callers on the air, typically talent will use a VSET 6 or a VSET 12. The 6 is our 6-line telephone, 12 is the 12-line telephone. Axia consoles have modules available where the phone controls are right in the console, and we also have a really nice new module for other manufacturers' consoles as well.
If you're producing a call-in talk show, call screening software can help you keep track of your callers, their names, where they're calling from, what they want to talk about, and how long they've been on hold or ringing in. It can also control your VX Prime system.
For call screening, included with VX Prime is a program called X-Screen. X-Screen's very, very easy to set up, and it's a beautiful program to look at and operate. It has all the normal call screening functions. You can see the name of the caller, where they're calling from, caller ID information. There's a chat window to speak with the talent without speaking with the talent, and it's been received quite well.
Telos VX Prime is a digital system throughout. That means you get consistent caller quality. You also get consistent levels and consistent EQ on each caller thanks to Omnia audio processing on every call. There's another benefit. Callers can hear you or your talent perfectly, and they can hear other callers that may be conferenced in to the same program. When everybody can hear each other, conversations are much more enlightening and faster paced. While the Telos VX Prime gives you the best caller quality possible, it also supports a new standard called HD Voice. HD Voice gives you incredible caller quality from ordinary smartphones running an app. It's great for live remote broadcasts, sports broadcasts, and breaking news.
VX Prime natively supports the G722 codec, which gives you 7 kilohertz. They call it HD audio through private networks or the internet. A lot of our customers have used it with soft phones that are available free or very inexpensively. So they go out to a remote site with their iPhone or their Android phone, set up a call, just push a couple of buttons, and they can do a 7 kilohertz remote from any place. It sounds great. It's been really good with news departments as well.
Let's look at a typical VX Prime setup, realizing that it's a flexible system, adaptable to any broadcast facility.
Caller audio goes in and out of the VX Prime and the VX using what we call Livewire, which is our audio over Ethernet standard. And if you have an Axia console already, it's quite simple. You just basically plug the VX or the VX Prime directly into your Axia network and just map all the channels around. It's quite easy. If you don't have an Axia console, no problem. We have a device called a node, and the node will actually break it out into audio, either analog or AES, plus it gives you GPIO for things like phone flashers or whatever you need to make it work in your studio environment.
Earlier, we mentioned using VX Prime with traditional analog phone lines, also known as POTS lines. By moving your POTS lines over to SIP technology, you can save an enormous amount of money every month on your phone bill. Let's clarify some of the nomenclature about VoIP. We know that VoIP stands for Voice over IP, and over the years there have been several incompatible standards for VoIP. If you use Skype, Vonage, or Google Hangouts, you're using different forms of VoIP. The one standard that has emerged for connecting telephones with PBXs is called Session Initiation Protocol, or SIP, and basically every business phone nowadays talks SIP. Well, the Telos VX is 100% SIP compatible. It works perfectly with most business PBXs, all asterisk PBXs, and with any SIP-compliant phone line provider. Fortunately, there are several different ways to get your on-air phone lines connected to your Telos VX Prime system. We've even made a video describing 5 different ways to make it happen. Please see our 5-minute video titled Telos VX Telco and SIP Connections. You'll see the flexibility that SIP naturally provides for getting your VX Prime connected to your phone lines. So what about those POTS lines anyway? Joe, is there a simple way to connect them to a Telos VX Prime?
You can use a thing called a gateway, or ideally it would go through your PBX, or you'd have a SIP service. It was really designed for SIP, and it'll sound best. You'll get all the benefits of SIP if you use native SIP. But sometimes you're stuck with a POTS line. We understand that, and it'll work with that if you need to do that.
Even if you think you're stuck with POTS lines, let me suggest that you seriously look into converting them over to SIP technology. SIP has so many advantages over POTS. SIP can sound a bit better than POTS on many calls. But SIP can also carry more sophisticated voice codecs like G722 or HD voice. You'll never get that with POTS, but SIP is wide open to high-quality possibilities. And SIP technology costs a lot less than POTS or ISDN. Even at full retail pricing, SIP typically costs about half of what POTS lines cost. And with some clever shopping, it's possible to save upwards of 90% over the cost of POTS lines. You literally could save hundreds to over $1,000 every month by switching to SIP. We've also described something called Asterisk, or Asterisk PBX. Now, many stations don't need the benefits or features that an Asterisk will bring to the Telos VX Prime system. Joe Talbot gives us some insight about those features and benefits and whether some of them may be right for you.
A lot of our VX and VX Prime customers work with Asterisk, which is an open source PBX, and it provides a lot of power and options for us to do special tricks. Call detail recording is very useful also. It shows you how many calls, when they came in, how long they were on. It's a pretty useful feature. Asterisk gives you the flexibility. It does the tricks that just the VX by itself won't do. So it's something to consider, and certainly a better choice than a gateway device that's pretty limited in function.
Some broadcasters purchase an Asterisk PBX and install it, and then they get double duty from it. They use it as their main business phone system, plus they also use it to convert POTS, T1, E1, or ISDN lines over to their Telos VX Prime system, or simply to give the Telos VX Prime some extensions off of their business phone system. Many Telos dealers are supplying Asterisk PBX systems, ranging from small ones up to very large server-sized systems with power supply and hard drive redundancy built in. Plus, there are dozens of third-party Asterisk solutions available too, ranging in price from a few $100s up to a few thousand. The key requirement for any VoIP PBX system to work with your Telos VX Prime is simple. It needs to work with off-the-shelf generic SIP phones. The VX Prime is completely SIP compliant. If your business PBX, cloud-based PBX service, or dedicated SIP provider works with generic, third-party SIP phones, it'll also work with the Telos VX Prime. So what have we just learned about using the latest Telos technology to help you sound better and save money? Your on-air callers can sound better and clearer. You can enjoy consistent operation and audio quality across all your studios. You can save significant money every month on telco line charges. You can bring HD voice quality into your live remotes and breaking news. The Telos VX Prime makes all this possible at a price that absolutely makes sense for small to medium broadcast facilities. The next step is yours. Visit the Telos VX Prime page at telosalliance.com on the web, or call your favorite Telos dealer for more information. I'm Kirk Harnack for the Telos Alliance.